And you are live on YouTube.
Okay, are we ready to roll? Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Tourism Axie Tax Coordination Committee meeting. First time of business to approve the minutes of the July 29th Tourism Axie Tax meeting. So somebody want to make a motion? Motion by Supervisor Hogan, second by Supervisor Beatty. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, action agenda. Resolution authorizing an agreement with Wadsworth Publishing Company to print 125,000 copies of the 2022 travel guide. And that was awarded to the lowest responsible bidder. Somebody want to make a motion so we get it on the floor? Motion by Supervisor Beatty, second by Supervisor Wild. Any discussion on this? Supervisor Beatty.
Thank you, Chairman. Print items are still valuable, correct? I mean, that's why we'd be doing this. I mean,
Correct.
obviously, we're in the media age and internet and so forth, but obviously, I trust your opinion, the tourism department, that printing 125,000 copies is a useful and meaningful way to spend the money. Is that correct?
The number of travel guides that we've printed over the years has dropped considerably. I mean, it could have been as high as 300,000 or more. We do have a pretty tight distribution, rollout. Paul just calculated everything for me yesterday. About 15,000 are mailed out. Another portion are distributed locally to our business properties, so that they can have them for their guests in their rooms. And a large quantity are at the throughway distribution centers, AAAs, that kind of, people driving on the road. I want to stop and pick up the guide and take it with me. So I think we've got it kind of hammered out that we only send them or distribute them where they are desired.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Hogan.
This would be next year's version of the travel guide,
Correct, 2022.
but we haven't seen that yet.
No, the version that you have this year was that abbreviated 20-page overview, because we weren't sure when we had to make a decision in, August of last year, how the year would roll out. So we printed a 20-page version. This 2022, we will go back to the fuller magazine format version.
Thank you.
Supervisor Wild.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question for Joanne, and I'm sure this is coming out of the blue like I typically do, and I apologize for that. But I'm curious, what would the reach be for people electronically if we spent $78,000 as compared to the reach we get with the hard copies? Does that make sense of what I'm
To
asking?
distribute a guide electronically, or just other
what we're
outreach,
doing,
social
other
digital?
social media type advertising and email advertising. We're saying we could reach 125,000 families potentially.
Mhm.
We should be able to reach 10 times that with $78,000.
And we do have a
Okay.
significant digital and social
Right.
media outreach. And anything that we do digitally will send people back to our website. So our website is very much the travel guide. But I think there's still an audience that wants to have that in their hand.
I'm part of that audience, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. And when it comes to printing the guide, I will say that we use matching funds and money from advertising revenue. So it's not a lot of money that's directly out of our budget to use to print that.
Thank you.
Any other discussions? Let's vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried. Number 2, resolution to approve out-of-state travel to the 2022 American Bus Association Marketplace meeting, January 8th through the 11th. Have a motion to get this on the floor. Motion by Supervisor Beatty, second by Supervisor Stroud. Any discussion on this? This is the premier bus touring meeting that they have yearly. And we've certainly have cut down on a number of Marketplace Association meetings we go to, and this is the premier one. Any discussion, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, carried. I know I'm not going to pronounce this right. Resolution, resolution to authorize agreement with Granicus to provide short-term rental address identification platform. I did talk with the county treasurer before. He couldn't be here and he was in favor of this. The software assists the treasurer's office in identifying short-term rental properties in Warren County. So motion to get this on the floor, motion by Supervisor Beatty, second by Supervisor Stroud. Discussion. I know we've had some discussion and I think this will be utilized by all the communities to find out where their short-term rentals are.
Yeah.
Supervisor Beatty?
Yeah, I like the fact that they being Granicus and us being the county can share with the towns.
Yeah.
And maybe that will help in some cost reduction for the town. So that was an overwhelming yes for me when I heard that part of it.
Okay. Supervisor Stroud?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Garrity. Yeah, the town of Queensbury is strongly in favor of this, and Tim McNulty, who is the Ward 4 representative in the town of Queensbury, perhaps may want to talk to this as well if we give him a chance. But I think what he'll say is he strongly supports going in this direction, and Councilman McNulty is present. But that would follow
You wanna
the
talk?
committee.
Tim? State your name for the record.
Morning, Councilman Tim McNulty, Ward 4, Town of Queensbury. Thank you, Supervisor Garrity, for allowing me to speak. We took a briefing from Granicus. The opportunities in terms of tracking data and making it available to the towns are tremendous. Will be great for not just Queensbury, but also for the capturing occupancy tax data. The numbers that we were shown, and this was in May, were roughly, that they were tracking were roughly twice as many as had been reported as early as April. So they're tracking a lot more than we had sight of. There's also some reporting mechanisms for complaints and opportunities for neighbors who might have an issue to let the town know. And it's as we all look at different ways to address the expanding STR capability, or STR wave, as we say at the Queensbury meetings. This will give you the data to be able to track that. You can track the different laws and regulations that are in effect. You can see what your numbers are, where your complaints are, and I've got a copy of the deck if anyone wants to see it. But strongly support it. It'll be a win for all of us. Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Bramer?
Thank you so much, Chairman Garrity. I've been in support of this since the city brought it to my attention a few months ago that they were looking into it. And I said, wait a minute, I think we've heard about this at the county. And Granicus did come, they gave a presentation to the county. I think it's going to be a really great opportunity for us. I know that Lake George is also already using Granicus, and we've heard really good things from them. And I reached out to Dutchess County, which uses them as well. And they had a lot of really great things to say about them as well. And I will say that Councilman from Ward 2, Bill Collins, is here. And if the committee is willing to extend him an opportunity to speak to this, I would invite you to do so, Bill, if you want, if the committee doesn't object.
Well, thank you. It was a little unexpected, but we are looking forward to taking advantage of this as well. It seems like a no-brainer from our point of view. We're working forward to it.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Chairwoman Seaver?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to state that I certainly appreciate seeing Councilman McNulty and hearing his comments and his experience in the tourism world as well, to share with us that need for collaboration between all of our municipalities and also with the city of Glens Falls. One thing that our treasurer did say, and I know this has been something for months we've been talking about, we did have a small meeting with Granicus and learn more about their capabilities, but we don't want to oversell this and underdeliver. The point is we'll be able to, by approving this, have an agreement to collect the data, to share that with the towns. But there are many other things that Granicus can do, and that would be incumbent upon the municipalities to then enter into additional contracts to provide that data above and beyond what the county will be contracting, should this be passed with Granicus for. But also the treasurer and Supervisor Garrity, I'm not sure if it's Chairman Garrity, I'm not sure if it's worded this way in the resolution proposal, but the treasurer had conveyed the request to make sure that when we do provide this information to the municipalities. There is an agreement that is signed, and that any short-term renters in their jurisdiction register with the treasurer's office for occupancy tax. So there is kind of that partnership of wanting to make sure that we do have them registered as a result of that partnership with the municipality for the few that are flying, just we haven't been able to capture quite yet. And I think that speaks to the collaboration effort. Super Chairman Garrity, I think I got that correct, right? Mike Swan's request on that.
I don't see it here, but it could be, Robert?
Perhaps our county administrator had some discussions with him on it.
In terms of where the cost is coming from?
No, just he's very much in support of this agreement, but I know had spoken with several of us with not being able to be here today, just to make sure that it's clear that the agreement we're going to have with Granicus is to identify all of the locations in each of the municipalities, but there are many more things that Granicus can do for the municipalities, and that would be incumbent upon the municipalities to enter into an additional contract should they desire, but also that by agreeing to give the municipalities this data in a cost-sharing effort, that in return, any of those STRs in their municipality register with the town or with the county. Of course, we've been trying to cover that as best as we can, but it's a big effort, which is why we're bringing in this contract.
Yeah, I think that's very much the spirit of this. It's information sharing, and it was the cost sharing piece that threw me. I actually have a question on it's for staff at the appropriate time as to how we get to do the budget here to pay the cost.
Chairman,
Go ahead.
thank you. You've got Supervisor Stroud as well. I'll just say Treasurer Swan did mention to me too that my understanding is that Granicus will have like an umbrella account, and then each of the municipalities can kind of do their own thing underneath that. I'm not sure what it entails as far as separate contracting with each of the municipalities. I'm sure they'll have to do something with Granicus if they want to utilize more of the services than are available under our umbrella account. But what Treasurer Swan was saying too is like, if the city, for instance, if they start a permitting program and they're asking STRs to get permitted through the city, that part of that process is making sure that you require each STR, I'm looking at the city officials, to also get their permit from the county. We have a simple form just so that you guys are partnering with us to make sure there's those checks and balances on every STR that you permit, that you also make sure they get permitted through the county.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Stroud, sorry.
Yes, thank you. Another aspect of Granicus that I like is that they use local assessment information, which is a better determination of which town that particular piece of property is located in. Queensbury has 5 zip codes. We share zip codes with Fort Ann, Hudson Falls, City of Glens Falls, Hudson Falls, Town of Lake George. And so the use of assessment information will help delineate exactly which town that piece of property is in, and we'll find that very helpful.
That's great. Any other discussions? Ryan, you?
And Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to ask, it looks like from the documentation here, this is an annual one-time payment. And I assume if that occurs, is that going to occur in 2021? And are we going to amend the budget to appropriate from the reserve to cover that? Is that part of this
That's what
request?
we have to do as part of the resolution.
Okay.
So any other Supervisor Wild, one more time.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'm going to be really quick about this. It doesn't relate specifically to this resolution, and I'd like to get your permission to bring it up later, but there's a chance that we're going to see a significant windfall in occupancy tax income. And what I'd like to do is propose later today that we take 1/3 of that windfall and redirect it to a major tourism infrastructure fund.
Well, that shouldn't be part of this. We'll discuss that later.
But it's part of this because it's going to be driving the income, but I understand. Thank you very much.
You don't know what you're going to get yet, Supervisor Wild. I think we need to address that issue when the funds come in. Supervisor Thomas.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea, but I'm not sure why we need intermunicipal agreements to get the information to the towns.
You don't.
I think that's covered by the occupancy tax law. And it's the treasurer's responsibility to make sure these people are registered, not the towns.
No. No. So we've had a lot of discussion. We know it's a good tool. Let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, the treasurer's report. Mike couldn't be here. If you want me to, revenue collected, this is actually tax revenues collected through August 13th, $1,392,158.53. That compares to what was collected in 2020, which was $722,614.12, and that's a $669,544.41 increase, or 48%. Collected through August 13th, 2021, and through 8/13/19 was 1 million. I don't quite understand that. But
He's comparing 2021 to 2019.
okay, so we're $72,042.47 behind 2019, not 2020. Okay. 5% behind 2019. Any questions about that? Supervisor Hogan?
How much have we allocated from the 2021?
I couldn't answer that.
Lisa?
I don't know.
Allocated to what?
How much have we given out for 2021 money yet?
You want to give me a second on that?
Sure.
You're talking just for special events?
Yes.
It looks like 452,000.
Plus the 15 that the
Oh, for the ski.
Lime, Adirondack.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And North Creek business, so
Yep.
another 15, so
So that's,
467,000.
yeah, I just have that broken into a different category. 452,000 for events, plus 12,005 for the North Creek shuttle, plus 2,005 for the Hague Fire Tower. So that totals to 467,000.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda, review the special event funding application for Special Olympics. Joanne? Or
Well, we have representatives here from Special Olympics. We did send out, Kristen reviewed the application and did share the application itself with the committee and a summary. So if you have taken the opportunity to review that and score yourself, perhaps there is additional discussion or questions, but there are representatives here to answer if you do have questions.
does anybody have questions on the application? They're requesting $50,000, very much a worthwhile event. There are no questions. Supervisor Wild.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was looking through the budget, and one of the things that stood out to me is that the lodging for athletes and coaches is $166,000. And I'm wondering if that is excluded from the number of overnight visitors or number of room nights calculation that's here.
Should we turn to?
Can you ask that question? Can you ask that question again? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
As I was going, I'm sorry, microphone. As I was going through the application and the data, I was just kind of interested about the number of overnight projected rooms of 850 room nights.
Yeah.
And then as I was going through the budget, I saw this line item at the very bottom. It says lodging for athletes and coaches of $166,000.
Yes.
So that's lodging you're providing to the athletes and coaches. How many room nights out of that 850 does that equate to?
It's all of them. That's the room nights. That's the amount we're paying for hotels. We never charge the athletes or the coaches anything to train or compete in Special Olympics in any event. So that's the money we have budgeted to pay for this, and we'll pay for it hopefully with the support of the county, but without it as well. Right?
Understood. Okay, thank you. Then carry on. Do we expect any other like families and the like?
Yeah.
Do additional, and I'm
so-
curious, what does that add to the 850?
So Special Olympics is a little different in that it's the largest amateur sports organization in the world, and New York is the largest program in the country. And it's an opportunity. It's true training and competition for these athletes. So they get the opportunity where they're going to come to Glens Falls and to Warren County to compete. They're going to hop on a bus with their coaches and their fellow athletes and travel to the big dance and come here to compete. Many of their family members will, but we don't provide housing or rooming for there. So they will, and it's hard to estimate. Some of the athletes live in group homes. Some of them live with their families in the community. And so we don't have solid numbers to give you to how many additional people will come. We know that we're going to use 700 at least volunteers in the community. We know that we estimate fans in the stands, 700 to 1,000, but it's hard to estimate those numbers. Those are our best guess because we never charge either the spectators. So we'll have, when we have an opening ceremonies, wherever it is, we're not going to charge spectators to come in either.
Okay, thank you. I'm in support of this. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Any other questions about the application? Supervisor Hogan.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm 100% in support of this. It's a great organization, a great event. I'm just a little unclear. Are we committing to 1 year of $50,000 funding, or are we committing to a multiple year agreement?
Well, we're asking you for 50,000 to help us through this year, especially during the COVID pandemic, as this is the first event that these athletes will return from COVID to come to Glens Falls. And we've given out these allocations. We'll pay for it one way or another. But when a community such as Glens Falls puts in a bid, they're bidding against Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, and it's a 3-year bid. They have to tell us that they have the hotels, that they have the venues, the sporting venues. They've got to be top notch for these athletes to come and do this. And so we're coming for 3 years. We'd love you to consider this in the next couple years. This is probably the last time I would appear before you as I'm the director of training competition for Special Olympics, a title I've held for now 18 years. But I'm running unopposed for the city mayor of Glens Falls. I will resign in Special Olympics on November 2nd. So it will be my pleasure to come back to you as the mayor next year and ask you for the same support so that we can work together. Although the city of Glens Falls puts in this bid, most of these events are happening. SUNY Adirondack will have the cycling event. The Dome will have bocce and softball, as well as Morris Field will have softball and soccer. We had to go to Saratoga for equestrian, where better than the riding center at Skidmore. And golf, I had to find we're out at Brookhaven. But every year I try to bring more of it back right here. Oh, Coles Woods for cross-country running as well. So it's 7 sports. 1,200 athletes and coaches will hop on buses and come and show what they can do. Special Olympics is a 3-sport season. This is the fall culminating event that will qualify those athletes to go to national world games the next run around. The next
One-year
events.
application.
Thank you.
Sorry.
One quick follow
That was a
on.
long question.
Go ahead.
Bocce?
Bocce, yes, sorry. Bocce, yes. Seven sports: bocce, soccer, softball, golf, equestrian, cross-country running, and cycling.
Great.
Okay, any other questions? We have Supervisor Strauss, Supervisor Beatty.
All right, thank you very much, Bill. I want to personally thank, and I think I speak on everybody here, all the effort that you do for Special Olympics. And I know that you have spent a lot of effort, and Amy Collins is here too, and I know she spends a lot of effort on this, and I've worked with Amy, and we were not successful in bringing the Special Olympics last time. So congratulations and to-dos for all the work that you and Amy and others do to bring this to our area. And it's a great service for those people involved in the Special Olympics. So I would proudly support the $50,000 towards this effort. I see potentially the revenue versus the cost, there's $100,000 difference projected. So I think we'll take some of that sting away.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Beatty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Billy. Thanks, Amy. Thank you all. You do a phenomenal job with that. I know we normally don't extend more than a year commitment. But I think this event, in my mind, deserves us looking at maybe amending the 1-year commitment and giving them a 3-year commitment, as you've secured for 3 years, correct?
Yes, all the
Okay.
facilities and the hotels as well.
Okay, so, I know it's a little different for us, because normally we do a year-by-year thing, but I would like to propose an amendment we do have the motion on the floor?
Yeah.
I would like to propose that we amend it for a 3-year commitment to the Special Olympics.
I'm not sure, I'm not sure procedurally how to go about this. I'm going to refer to,
You think you could do it that way? We certainly have precedent for awarding occupancy tax dollars for multiple years. The North Creek Shuttle is an example of that. We mentioned that a couple of minutes ago.
okay, so
I would like to make an official amendment to this, that we amend the motion to include a 3-year commitment from the occupancy tax for 50,000 each year.
okay. Sarah, who made the motion?
There was no motion. I don't.
Oh, there is no motion.
No.
Oh, so that's.
Well, then I'd like to make a motion.
Did somebody second his motion?
There's no
Supervisor-
motion to amend.
Supervisor Beatty, Supervisor Bramer. Any other discussions? Supervisor Wild.
Mr. Chairman, does that exclude us from doing something different the year after or the year after that?
It would depend on how you write up the contract. If you want to have a renewal that's subject to mutual ratification, I think it's really about what the board's trying to accomplish here. Are you committing to $50,000 for the next 3 years, or are you looking to leave it open as to whether or not you do that?
From my own personal standpoint, I think that the board is always going to be supportive of this. Just don't know if it's going to be 50,000 or 40,000 or 60,000 or something else.
Well, I think it would be up to the organization if they came back and what their ask would be. I would believe that we should leave it.
You could structure it that way too. You could say it's a 3-year commitment not to exceed 50,000 a year, and it depends on what the organization asks for.
Are you all right with that, Supervisor Bramer?
I'm fine with that language.
Or Supervisor Bramer?
I do have a comment. I'm okay with that.
Okay, I had a question by the chair lady.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I echo everyone's excitement on this and also the 3-year, I'm in full support of a 3-year contract, but I also want to highlight you are our first applicant with the brand new application that was recently passed by the board. And I'm hopeful that in your filling it out that you found not only assistance by the county, but it helpful, flowed easy enough and provided you with enough direction to be able to make in essence, this mini grant request from the Warren County municipal funding. So any feedback that you have on that process, I know Kristen's worked closely with you and Joanne, so it would be great to get that feedback as well. But I think this is about regional collaboration, not just within Warren County, but Saratoga and Washington. And I would urge this board to support a 3-year contract so that you can plan accordingly and we can be good partners. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
last
It
comment?
was great. And thank you. And really, it's Kristen and Stacy and Amy that do the majority. I just get the competitions ready. So I don't want to take credit for that. We do really appreciate being able to appeal directly to you. 7 or 8 years ago, the first time I was able to bring Special Olympics to Warren County at this level, it was difficult to apply through the city because that kind of ask, it would be the entire city's allocation. And we, it was just, so to be able to appeal at least directly to you and let you know the impact that we're having, we do greatly appreciate it. The application was wonderful. Thank you.
Last comment.
Thank you. I obviously fully support this, and I completely appreciate the benefit that competition provides for these special athletes, and it's great to have it in Glens Falls and Warren County. It is a significant allocation of money over the next 3 years, so I was wondering if we could ask staff to speak to the application and whether everything was completed the way that we want it to under the new process, and do you have any concerns about the 3-year allocation?
I think I'll ask Kristen to speak to that. She did review it carefully and did provide a summary.
So, sure, I'd be happy to speak to this. I mean, certainly it is a terrific and amazing event for us to be able to host in our county. And certainly Bill And Stacy, we've spoken greatly about all the great things that will happen with this event. In terms of the economic impact of this and the allocations and going through the scoring, I mean, there's more benefits. We've talked before about this in our scoring sheets and our evaluation prior to this with this whole entire new process of strategy and tourism development. And in looking at more than just heads and beds, but overall impact and impact to the community, impact to our community at large and to those that live here, as well as those that are coming in from out of state. And as Bill mentioned also, while they have the numbers specifically for housing for their athletes, you have this trickle over effect that's going to happen, this domino effect of the families coming and the fans that will go and they will eat in the restaurants and they will stay in other hotels and motels and things like that. In addition, as Supervisor Seaver mentioned too, the idea of this idea of cross-county collaboration with our law enforcement also, and speaking to that, certainly there's a lot of value in working together with the volunteer efforts from Saratoga, from Washington, from Warren. And then I know I'll let Stacy speak a little bit to some of the conversations she's also had just in the last week with our EMS folks, as well as our health department in terms of collaborative efforts that we've been able to offer from additionally in our services here in Warren County. So actually, Stacy, I'll let you talk to that a little bit.
Hi, good morning, and thanks for your consideration for this wonderful event that we're going to be doing. So as Kristen had mentioned, one of the pieces that we want to make sure that we're covering is the safety of the athletes and coaches and also the public who are coming in for the event. And so we work very tightly with all law enforcement, fire departments, emergency management systems with the county, the health department, and everything. And as you can imagine, in the year that we're looking at coming off of and trying to prepare ourselves for an event of this size, coming in after a pandemic, during a pandemic, we want to make sure that we're taking the proper safety measures. And that is not only just for our purposes, but that's also to make sure that everybody within the counties and every town municipality that we're currently operating in, whether it's a competition, special event, or housing, or any piece of what we're able to provide for this event, is properly managed with proper understanding between both sides, with both parties. So we'll be working very tightly with emergency management. We're going to be having safety squads at each event. We didn't really have safety squads before COVID. So we have new pieces that we're implementing, that we're learning from you, what resources are available. How can we partner on these types of things? How can we make the general public understand not only what Special Olympics is, but how we're bringing back such a large scale event during a time like this that can be a little uncomfortable for folks. So we're making sure that our messaging is properly in place with what your messaging is, and making sure that everybody is of the same mind going into it as we move forward through all the processes. And that means reaching into all the different departments, not just with tourism for the housing and the logistics, which is, I'm the logistics girl, but also making sure, again, that the general public and that you all have a good understanding of how we're operating with any kind of crisis communications, emergency management, and so forth.
Okay, that being said, I'd like to vote on this, and my only, this is a win-win for everybody, and let's not lose sight of who's participating in this. Very special people, and I hope we're going to support it fully. So let's vote. All those in favor?
Chairman Garrity,
Aye.
sorry,
Oh,
not to butt in and throw cold water. I just have some questions on, we talked about a 3-year contract here, the committee was. I wanted to get some ideas as to the exact dates on it, because I see, looking at, I think the first event is actually going to be in October of 2020-21, if I'm correct on that. And then are we talking about an event that would then continue through 2022, 23, and into 24? In which case it really would be like a 4-year commitment, or is it 2023? I just want to get a sense of that for the contract.
21, 22, and 23.
Okay.
23. That's it.
Okay. Satisfactory. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you very much. Thank the Buzz Falls team, and good luck.
Mr. Chairman.
Evan,
Yeah.
Just again, on the budget side, just want to make sure we know what we're doing here. We have 34,134 remaining in the event account. Do we want to amend for the difference to 50, or do we want to amend for 50? This will come out of the occupancy tax reserve.
We'll take it out of actually tax refund or reserve. I would say the balance of the full amount or
That's up to you.
Or something in between.
it's up to the committee. What
Right.
does the committee
So-
want to do? Take it out of reserve?
Let's take the full amount out of reserve.
Full amount out of
I'm
reserve?
good with that.
50,000 out of reserve, so we still have 34,134 remaining. Is that the idea?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Do we need to vote on that?
Yes.
That's going
Yeah.
to go to finance.
Okay, entertain a motion, take 50,000 out of the reserve account.
Yep.
Motion by Supervisor Bramer, second by Supervisor Beatty. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, now I guess you're set. Thank you. Thank you very much. The review of municipal supplemental funding. You've had these sheets all sent out to you. Are there any questions about the supplemental funding information? Anybody? Yeah, the scoring sheet. Go ahead, Supervisor Hogan.
Thank you. I just want to say once again, a very well thought out document. A lot of work went into that. It's obvious. And thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Wild, I think it was Wild, or was it Supervisor Strauss? Sorry.
On 1.2, it speaks, well, which is titled Application Evaluation Criteria. And in the second paragraph, which starts with all application requests, it refers in the second sentence to alignment with countywide and municipal tourism development strategies. But it doesn't give any reference to where one could find that. I mean, are you talking about the general guidelines?
Kristen, can you answer that, please? Please take that.
So if you go actually to page 2, on there, it talks about, there's that graph that we have there, talking about what occupancy tax is, and that grants and allocations shall be viewed as investments, which will proactively regenerate the future occupancy tax funds. So basically, what we're looking to do here is similarly from a global perspective, the overall strategy for tourism development still remains relatively the same, and similarly to what we did prior to the other application process to ensure sound investments in future tourism projects, events, and activities within the municipalities, which will continue to regenerate a strong return on investments and show the demonstrated benefits and values of tourism growth. So in other words, we're looking at things from a global perspective, and there's things that we're going to go, this application specifically is for support above and beyond that 25% allocation annually. And there are a lot of things that come up throughout the year, and it's a way in which we can streamline this process. And if, for example, you were to come and find something that a capital program, for example, that is more a trail enhancement, and something comes up and maybe it's from a larger recreation plan that needs some additional funding to get it off the ground or keep it going, this would be something where it would make sense to put in for that application. So looking at it from the high level, it's that development strategy as a whole, and then looking at these smaller buckets, going, how do we fund this? And then from the decision-making process, are the decisions that are being made sound, and will they continue to regenerate that fund year over year?
So when somebody asks me, where can I go to find your development strategy? What do I tell the applicant?
Well, it's technically on page 2. It's pretty straightforward.
All right, so when
If it's something that you like broken out more clearly, certainly we can write up something that would be.
What I'll do is, if this gets adopted, the town of Queensbury will make its application basically aligned with it. I think perfectly, so that the applicant would fill out these questions that you're asking. Well, however, I will add to my application, the town's application, I would suggest to the town board that in reference to development strategy, please refer to the section that's titled, "What is occupancy tax?"
Mhm.
That would suffice.
Ideally, yes. I mean,
Okay,
it's,
all
yep,
right.
as long as it falls in the legislation of why occupancy tax was actually created and
See,
the legislative
occupancy tax.
language.
Okay.
That is ultimately the strategy behind it. Does that answer your question? Is it
I
clear?
think the question that I asked is answered, and I think you were agreeable to that, that when I put down tourism development strategy, see the section titled, "What is occupancy tax?"
Mhm.
That will give
That-
them what they're
If,
looking
if it's at the pleasure of the committee and that seems to make sense, then yes. I mean, this is all in draft form. It's open for discussion, but
Yeah,
ideally it's all supposed to tie together. So that's a great point. Thank you.
okay.
And Supervisor Shrow, I do think, if something comes up with the application down the road, that we need to make a modification to it, we certainly can. But good questions.
Mhm.
So I guess, do we need to have a motion to accept both of these? Is that what we're looking for, Julie? And then so we can send it on to the full board. So can I have that in a form of a motion, Supervisor Hogan? Second by Supervisor Beatty. Any other discussions? All right, let's vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. We will send this on to the full board. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
thank Kristen and the tourism department. They put a lot of effort into these forms, trying to get them right. And appreciate that. That's correct. All right, we have some pending items. We did that, number one. County Attorney Director prepare an update on agreement with Oxy tax spending guidelines. Was that that was part of our agenda or not? Okay. What's it look like? Because I got so many papers here now.
Legal contract.
Nice and dry and
Yep.
boring. Yeah.
All the way after the
Yep.
Special Olympics items.
Yep, the County of Warren Local Tourism Promotion Convention Development Agreement. Is that the one?
Yep.
Any comments from the committee on that one? I know County Administrator has reviewed it. I read it over. It looks pretty cut and dry to me. So we'll take any discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, exactly what are we referring to right now?
County of Warren Local Tourism Promotion and Convention Development Agreement. It was in your packet.
I see it, thank you.
Okay. Robert, would you like to comment on it?
Okay, this agreement, this is a draft or a template, if you will, of what we'd like to use for contract between the county and the towns for dispersing occupancy tax money. This is not the 25%. This is, I've been calling it the above and beyond. This is for money that's dispersed for special events that the towns have and come and apply for that kind of money. This is a template agreement that can be used for it. I've left blanks in here where the town's name would go. The idea is that this is, at this point, what they would look like in kind of a standardized way for the towns for that money from the county. There have been a few little tweaks to it from what it maybe have been in past years. You might see that I added some things about indemnification and insurance under Part 4, paragraph number 7. That one there is it includes a lot of the language from previous agreements of this nature. I would like to get feedback as to what works and what doesn't work and what the committee would like in a contract like this.
So if you would, we can leave this on the agenda and give people more time to look it over and then bring it up September. Would that be all right with the committee? Do you need more time to look at it? I know you've had it, but.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Then we'll leave this on pending items and we'll get it voted on hopefully at the September meeting. Number 3 is taken care of.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
did we do number 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just did that. We,
The two documents.
that was the first thing we talked about. We're submitting an add-on.
Oh,
to the full
I'm
board.
sorry. When we were having that conversation, I was looking backwards at the special event documents. Okay, I'll keep up.
No, that's okay.
Okay,
You
thank
know, what? Okay, so 1 is done, 2, 3, we're gonna bring back 4. We're asked about extending a contract to a multi-year event for the ice castles, and we've had different discussions. I think we could do a contract up to 3 years. That's our standard where we could approve it up to 3 years, I believe. We don't go beyond 3 years as our thing. So questions? Go ahead.
Thank you. I thought that we had already discussed this and said we were going to leave it the way it was. It gives us an option
For 2 more
for
years.
future years and that we were fine with that.
Yeah, but I guess there was questions about going longer. I don't know. Is that why it was on, Joanne?
Yes, questions about extending for years 4 and 5.
Yeah, and we decided we would stay with our standard contract.
Were these,
So do we need to discuss this or can we just move on from this? Supervisor Hogan.
where were the questions from?
This room.
I think it came from a business owner in the village was asking that if we could extend the contract. And I think we decided to go with 1 year with 2 additional years potential on the contract as is. So do we want to leave it that way and we can move on from this?
I'm fine in the current format.
Okay.
Chairman.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to take this off our pending items?
We can take it off. We'll just
Okay.
remove it. Okay. Also added on, that didn't hit the agenda is the RFP that we put out for competitor data. We'll be reviewing that in September. We're finally to a point where we have at least two respondents, and we'll be going over there and we'll be interviewing those respondents in September. So Chairwoman Sieber.
Thank you, Chairman. My question was a little while ago as it related to number 4 on the municipal agreement. Just dialing back to that, and I appreciate, I think we've signed everything too for the ice castles, but looking forward to seeing how that goes this year and being able to look around the county for different types of winter activities as well in all of our municipalities. But number 4 in that particular contract, the only thing I'm going to ask is that as you prepare to talk about this next month, I can see that the entity, you're very broad in who the county is. In years past, all the reports were filed with the county attorney's office. It may be that this is a lot of work and it shouldn't go through the county attorney's office. Perhaps it should be the tourism department, but I don't see where it's indicated what entity will be responsible for maintaining those records, reviewing those records, and certifying that, whatever's good to go. I think as much flexibility to the towns as possible to stay just in accordance with the 25% of the law, as indicated in the occupancy tax law, should be provided. I mean, that's up to the towns, but I do think the reports that are filed should be filed within an office at the county somewhere. And just ask that be identified as you move forward in talking about that.
Okay. Sir, we'll keep it under advisement for next month.
Thank you.
Anything else to come in front of the committee? Anybody from the audience in attendance wish to address the committee? Okay, anything on YouTube? Mr. Lehman, are you with us?
Oh, yes, I'm still here. We have nothing on YouTube.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Made by Supervisor Beatty, second by Supervisor Stroud. Thank you all. Thank you all again.